What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Sunday for this panel review of The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. It's the new Mike Flanagan show, his new horror show that releases every year because he has standalone shows usually with Netflix that release every year. So we're going to talk about the show. It's a spoiler review, so be warned. You have been warned that this is going to be spoilers. Look, I'm even going to run this little spoilers thing so that you are warned. And also, before we get started, make sure you smash the like, share the stream, all that good stuff. We're also simulcasting on Rumble. So if you're interested in that, check out the links in the description as well as the pinned comment. And now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panel. Some of you may know him, may love him, may have stuck around to watch endless content that he makes. He is the long man, and we haven't talked in a really long time. He is here. It's Mahler. Hello, long man.
Hello. How you doing?
Hi,
What's
I'm
going
doing
on?
good.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for talking about some of these shows. These shows sometimes they just, they go by without anybody noticing they exist even. It drops them all
Agreed.
in one day and then it's like, oh well, anyway, moving on. And yeah, I think it is the last for Mike Flanagan shows on Netflix. He's got to deal
Really?
with he's moving to Amazon, so
Yep.
Oh, really? Maybe it's going to be less woke moving forward then. That's good news.
At Amazon, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Amazon's had a couple like, Tulsa King and,
Reacher, yeah.
Reacher and
Those are the
stuff.
shows they don't pay attention to, but if they paid attention enough to Flanagan to bring him over to Amazon, he's on their radar then.
That's true.
yeah, I think because Hill House did really well, Blind Manor did less well, but then Midnight Mass did really well.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what the word is on Usher yet, but
Well,
Flanagan.
Midnight Club, that's the after one after Midnight Mass.
Not like it. I don't think it matches that well with that set. I've seen Midnight Club. I didn't think it was as impressive as the.
It was
the
my
other four.
least favorite. I stopped watching it after like
That
third or
didn't get
fourth
renewed.
episode.
I think he even released like a big old thing of what the story was going to be because it won't be made now. Like it just absolutely will not. So he like laid out what season 2 was all going to be about and sort of finished the story online. I think you can find it, but yeah, I'm not sure if there was some kind of disagreement between him and Netflix that made it happen, or if Amazon just offered more. You never know. But as far as I'm aware, yeah, this is it for him and Netflix, and he's moving on. So.
That's interesting. I did not know about that. But yeah, Mahler just named all the other previous ones that he's made. I became a fan because the House of Haunted Hill is like one of my favorite Halloween stories ever, and I thought he did a really good job with it. And then I liked his other ones too because I thought it was really creative. But then the last one, like I said, was really, really woke, so I didn't finish it. And then this one, I was like, ugh, like please don't be bad. And it started out kind of rocky, but then like I was like, okay, this is definitely an improvement on the last one. But I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And but before we get into all that, Teresa's also here. Hi, Teresa. How you doing?
Hey, great. Glad to be here again.
I'm so glad you're here. Did you are you doing okay? Are you at an undisclosed location right now, hidden away?
Well, I usually am in an undisclosed location, but I'm in a less undisclosed right now. But I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right, and we're all doing relatively well. So just taking it one day at a time.
Excellent. I just watched a movie called Frailty last night.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a rose garden in it. It's a scary rose garden, Teresa. It's not a good kind of rose garden. You should watch that movie.
Oh yay! Like my perfect Halloween movies for my.
Oh my God, you would love it. You will love it. It's about demons. I think it's right up your alley. It's with Matthew McConaughey, young Matthew McConaughey. It's good stuff. Script Doctor's here. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you were able to take time away from killing zombies to be here with us tonight. I know that's important work, so thank you.
Well, you gotta purge the neighborhood of all infestations. I hear that dialogue's going around a lot, sadly.
That is, a lot of purging going on. Thank you for becoming a member, Eldrick Lord Haster. Thank you. Whoa, what a cool name. Okay, let's get started. Let's get into this. Mahler, overall thoughts. What'd you
Well, I thought it was pretty damn strong overall. I got a good sense of who everyone was. I felt like the demises were relatively appropriate. I figured out pretty much who Carla Gugino was playing from the get-go, and so kind of enjoyed all the interactions leading to the reveal because it felt like it all lined up. I thought that just the basic sort of archetype of what we were dealing with here made a lot of sense, for lack of a better term. Enjoyed Flanagan delving into a bit more violence, even had some nudity, which I was genuinely surprised.
Ooh.
He never usually does anything like that. I was like, whoa.
Yes.
But of course,
Yes.
I'm sure he would tell you that it was necessary for the characters that we were dealing with and what they were getting up to and what happened to them and stuff. Funny at times, really well shot. Love the performances, though. I think there was a little bit too much cringe in here. Just here and there. Wasn't very happy with some of the choices for dialogue. I didn't like. We're doing full spoilers, right?
Oh yeah, full spoilers. Go full.
Death, I very much was enjoying as a concept, being that character, but man, I did not want to hear Death's opinions about the economy.
Yeah.
For me, like, this is definitely my preference. If you're Death, you don't talk about that level of human shit. You go way more broad. Yeah, you couldn't give less of a fuck about money or how people spend it. You're talking about human nature basically all the time, not stuff like that. I'm probably gonna have some wild card opinions. I don't know. I'm hoping for some back and forth here. It'll be fun. But my favorite character was Arthur Pym, and I thought Mark Hamill did wonderfully with him.
Me too.
My favorite scene of the whole show was Arthur Pym killing Death. That shit was funny as fuck, and I thought it captured the character perfectly. I believed it in that moment that he takes care of all the family business, and I really like that he's shocked. And then he sits down and has a conversation with Death. and that shit was very fun to me. So yeah, had a blast overall. It was nice to watch a TV show for once. I've been watching Ahsoka and Loki. Which is like watching a vast abyss of nothing. So watching a TV show that's designed to have information come at you at a reasonable pace was nice and refreshing. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Flanagan's work, so it's nice to add to the collection. I think Bruce Greenwood did fantastically. He played Roderick. He was, according to sources, an emergency reshoot addition to the whole show.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the main character was put in reshoots because of problems they had with Frank Langella, from what I gather. So amazing.
Accusations that have yet to be disclosed or even verified.
Yeah,
I didn't even know this. This is brand new information for me.
Yeah, they'd shot half of it with Frank Langella, and then issues happened. He's off the set, off the show, and so Bruce comes in to sort out the rest. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, seamless. I wouldn't have noticed at all.
Yeah.
Wow,
Bruce
I wouldn't have
Greenwood
noticed it.
Never fails to deliver on a good performance, in my opinion.
I've always been happy with him. It's cool that he's got a main role.
I'm just literally like finding out about this right now. I didn't even I didn't know. That's just crazy.
Yep.
This is the dude. I didn't even know who it was. Wow. So they're investigating him or something. Is it like Me Too stuff?
I remember reading he did something on set, but I don't think it's been revealed who he did it to or what happened.
Wow. All right. Well, that sucks for him, I guess. That's terrible. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Muller, especially about Mark Hamill's performance, because Mark Hamill, as we all know, has become extremely cringe recently with, having TDS and everything. So when I saw him in this, especially in the trailers, I was like, ooh, this actually kind of looks really good. And he knocked it out of the park for me. I was like, wow, this guy, he sure can act. I mean, he definitely wasn't Luke Skywalker in this. Very, very good stuff. I love that conversation he had with Death, I thought it was the devil. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was the devil the whole time.
I think it could go both ways. I haven't got any references on hand, but I thought it was Death by the end, if I had to choose.
It's a little tricky because she makes deals, and the thing is, Death has no purpose to make a deal. However, the devil does something for souls, but she didn't care about that, so it keeps it ambiguous. However, I like the fact that her name was an anagram for the Raven.
Yeah.
which was
when she says that the ravens were minions of Satan, like, that's why they were tossed overboard. That's why I felt like she was a demon.
That does line up completely. Yeah, the only reason I went with death is because of the fact that it all centered around I'm gonna guarantee your death at a particular date, and I'm gonna offer you this or whatever. I thought that when she was telling her story, that she constantly watched and controlled, like she was like, her accounting of the world is death, and that she was fascinated, and so she started going up and seeing it in person and offering deals or something. But you're right, plenty of it works if as good, if not better, with her being the devil. I thought that if she was the devil, I get a little more confused on her sense of morality. It feels weird that she's got all this like interest in nice and good things happening when she would be the devil. It feels weird a little. Meanwhile, if she was death, it feels a little bit more neutral.
It depends on your historical knowledge of the devil, because in one variation, the devil is the punisher of the wicked, and that is considered a good thing, someone to punish the wicked. Then there's another one who is the seductress, essentially, of the pure to be wicked so that they can punish them, or that they can grow an army to take over another realm of heaven or something of that nature. It all depends on which type of interpretation you want. Because this is greatly influenced by Edgar Allan Poe's work, Edgar Allan Poe usually has the devil more as or at least in certain allegories, it's been interpreted that he's more of an allegorical, as in the devil is there to do God's will and punish the wicked. And so if you are a good person, and you cannot be corrupted, he will leave you alone. But he'll be fascinated by you because, a soul that can't be corrupted, that is antithetical to their own perspective and point of view. It's why I really enjoyed that scene with her and Lenore.
Yeah.
Not getting too far ahead, but yeah, and I mean, I will say Carla Gugino still looks great for like her early 50s.
Fantastic.
I thought she was brilliant in this as well.
Yeah,
I've always liked her and Flanagan. Her and Flanagan are a great combo. She's always good in his stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not surprised. Oh, sorry. I'm not surprised that Flanagan doesn't exactly have an orthodox view of what a minion of Satan would be, because he likes to change his mind, or maybe look at things through his own point of view. I look at the way he presented a lot of things, say in Midnight Mass, and even the way Annabelle Gish's character was portrayed. And it's like, well, no, that's not traditional religion. So I think that he doesn't give a crap if it's completely orthodox. And I found some contradictions, because even death, or even a minion who wants good things to happen, she seemed to be cheering on a lot of really horrible things. And it had lack of a moral compass. And that, I think, is where some of the woke stuff comes in that we're going to see a little bit later. We're going to talk about a little bit later. It's like, listen, she's sitting around talking about certain things that are actually really bad, but she's talking about them as a good. And that is from their point of view, because I've talked a lot about that. Hollywood only sees one side. Like when they did like the real life Hall of Shame of all horrible people, guess who all of them were? And it was none of the people on, let's say, something that might rhyme with Hemorrhat. It was all every Republican, no villains from that might rhyme with Ouchie or anything like that. Right. So I'm not surprised that the morality was muddled.
Well, because it was Teresa, tell us your overall thoughts of the show. What did you think?
I thought overall, until they tried to bring the real world into their therefore of morality, I thought it was fantastic. When it was kept as a general idea of, if you're greedy, if you're power hungry, and if you don't give an F, if you indulge and only think of material things and do horrible things to let them happen, naturally bad things will happen back on you. So the whole Final Destination attitude, that no matter how hard they tried, they were just careening toward their just death. I thought that was great. And the use of the short stories to do so was also incredibly clever. It was fine until they tried to say, so therefore Orange Man bad. That's where I just lost it.
Where did that hit strongest for you?
Sorry?
Where did that hit strongest for you, the Orange Man bad stuff?
Well, when they showed, oh, look at these, here's the other people she's done the evil deal with, and then she showed Orange Man, she showed Brett Kavanaugh, he showed all the Republican, everyone. It was one Republican after another in those pictures. It's like it clubbed you over the head.
The thing that struck me about that scene, not only the fact that it's referencing real people, which I really would like to not do in shows like this, because I would way prefer they have contextual clues as like, oh, it went after or she was with the Spencer family, or a word, maybe go for surnames that don't actually link up with anything actually in our real world, so we can be like, huh, and then you'd have Pym be like, oh, the family of the mob family, or the blah 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 family, just stuff where we can be like, we can attach it to the real world if we want to. Unfortunately, with those images, you're like, first of all, yeah, the selection is really biased, but also just nobody noticed this. There was this woman turning up next to all of the most powerful people in history of a particular slant. That seems really strange to me, and it's something you didn't have to do, because I think it's a matter of subtlety. If you said, a lot of powerful people have apparently, talked of dealings with someone who, I don't know, has been described this way, something vaguer, then we can all think about what maybe is being said. But when you just go that explicit, I just think it's lame.
Well, that's that's a trope, man, of horror, especially when you're dealing with either an immortal entity. They're always going to show up in photos, either in newspapers or other clippings of something for someone to see and be like, oh my God, they've been around forever. They just did it in a far more blatant way. I think the only person that is among those lists that Teresa mentioned that isn't a Republican would be Zuckerberg. He's in there. He's definitely not a Republican. He's
but he was the token. And remember, they don't like him because he wouldn't censor Republicans.
You can say Republicans, Teresa.
Oh, I can say Republicans. Yeah, I'm not sure anymore what will get me. I don't want to ruin your channel.
Oh no, it's fine. You can say it.
Yeah, he was the one person of all of them. But remember how he was the villain. He's the villain for many of them because he was supposed to jettison all of those evil alternative voices. He allowed misinformation. So,
he allowed it on the Democratic side. And Facebook. I mean,
well, that's what we're saying is, but I'm just saying that, but he didn't. Now we live in a society where if they don't go hard enough against the enemies, that makes you bad. That's my thought on that.
I don't know if that's really true in Hollywood. It's Hollywood's splitting really divisively right now. Flanagan is definitely leaning obviously towards the towing the line. One of the things that I always have an issue with him is too much of his dialogue is speech-driven, soap opera stuff, pontification, as opposed to actual conversation. And don't get me wrong, some of the speeches he writes are really catchy and definitely lure you in, but they don't feel like that character is talking to the other character in a room. It feels like they're talking to us, and that's what I don't always enjoy in seeing shows like this. Is that we are, as the audience, are supposed to be the observer, and the overall context is supposed to be something we take in, but we shouldn't be actually listening to the characters feel like they're talking to us directly as opposed to the other person in the room. Because as much as I enjoyed the conversation between Roderick and August, I felt more often than not that Roderick was talking to the audience instead of talking to August. Because I mean, that whole thing where he basically said, this is what Monsanto does, but I didn't use the name Monsanto when it comes to patenting the seeds and then suing the farmers for integration and all that stuff. I'm just like, you're talking to the audience now. You really shouldn't be doing that. You should be talking to August and get something more in line with him. This is supposed to be a confession and a conversation at the same time. And it stops every so often throughout each episode for him to make some sort of commentary on the world that is way more obvious to specific things as opposed to general commentary about life and the human condition, which is usually what's preferred in fiction.
And what was your overall thought, Script Doctor?
I really appreciated how well they integrated the Edgar Allan Poe stories and short poems in this. I thought that was pretty cleverly done. Really liked the acting. Disappointed with the jump scares, but I did like a lot of the creepiness that was presented throughout, especially the when they were laying the bricks and that whole scene with that guy. That was
that was creepy.
I thought that was really well executed. And I actually really liked Annabelle Lee. I thought she was kind of like one of my favorite characters too, because she was this pure innocent one that was dedicated, and you're like, I wanted to see how did he seduce her and how did he get her. And I really appreciated the irony with the character of Roderick, who grew up without a father, but he had this one rule, which is no matter what, if you're my child, you get in. But that's where he ended it. He didn't become a father. He never became a father. He's just, you're part of my family. You get access to money. You can pitch me ideas to create your business, blah, blah, blah. But he never nurtured them. And as a result, their lives, ended up becoming very interesting but pathetic people overall. And
I really liked Annabelle's speech about that to him at the funeral.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was a great speech to him.
That was fantastic. And it also was really interesting when Verna or Death or whatever you want to call her, like when she was telling them like, oh, you could have been this, like, you know, like, or you were this in another life, like, or you're a dentist or you're this or that. It's just what they chose through their upbringing really kind of spoke about what the parents did. Now, for me, what was interesting is that, like, I thought, for example, like, because the sister, like his sister, Madeline,
played by Mary McDonnell excellently. Like, holy crap.
Great performance. I mean, all of them really have powerful performances. She was great. And it was really funny because she was like a psychopath the entire show. Like even when she was younger, it was like I felt like she was like a psychopath or a sociopath. And it was just really interesting because once they made the deal, and she even said, like, I went and got an IUD and you just went around and slept with whoever you wanted. And that to me was kind of like if it was me and I had made a deal with the devil that, my heritage was going to die at some point, like all of us, I would just never procreate. So I don't know, like, why this dude decided, like, I'm just going to go and do whatever. But I guess he was just in denial about it. Like, I don't know.
He had 2 kids already at that point, and then the others are all quote unquote bastards, meaning that he fucked around a lot and they're accidents. They're not supposed to have happened. But so he kept them in the family, you know what I mean? Because if you remember, and I really liked the phrasing of it, when they're talking about the repercussions of the deal when they're older, Madeline says, like, why should I have to pay? It's his ink. And what she means by that is, of course, the whole point of the contract is your entire bloodline comes down with you. And she's like, I don't have a bloodline. It's just me. So he's the one that has the bloodline. So surely it's his. And do you remember she tries to almost weasel out of actually having to make the deal?
Yes.
And when we were talking about it, when we were first watching it, me and my friends, the assumption was like, that seems out of character. She's the assertive one. She's the one that's like poisoning everything. So why is it that he made the deal? And it's like, if you look carefully, at least this is my interpretation, she was trying to benefit from the deal without signing.
Yes,
which is a very smart move.
She also wants to be immortal. That's the entire purpose of the algorithm she's doing, the whole brain bot stuff. She wanted to live forever. And I really dug that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I also found it really fascinating how after they had made the deal, they have this kind of fog about it where there's all this doubt, and they try to talk it off as alcohol or something or anything of that nature. But really it's just trying to reintegrate them back into their world after they've spent that whole night at the bar, and kind of have them forget the deal so that they can behave as they would normally. And the whole reason they were proposed that deal is that they both wanted to change the world. And the irony is that technically speaking, they didn't change the world. They just made themselves richer.
Right. And actually, I guess that was the other thing that I really, really liked about the show was that even though it was, and it's funny to me that you say the stuff that you said, Teresa, about them kind of like promoting the Democrat thing versus the Republican part. But I thought one of the most glaring things that was kind of political, especially for this time, is the fact that the pharmaceutical companies are evil. So it's like, it was just such an interesting perspective. And I like that setting of just a completely evil pharmaceutical company. They know the things that are making people sick. They don't give a fuck. Like, it's all about the money. That's real. It's a real and horrific aspect of our society that a lot of people don't really talk about or like to talk about because it just hits too close, I think. So that was one of the things that I thought was really well done with it. It was the settings, and that the fact that he was trying to say that, yes, pharmaceutical companies are evil and the way that they do certain things are evil. And I think even the daughter, Victoria, not Victoria, right? The black one is Victoria, I think.
Yeah.
Victorine.
Victorine or
like
whatever.
Victorine.
Oh, Vic.
Yeah.
We'll keep it easy. There you go.
Vic. Yeah, Vic. She was the one that was like the most psychotic one. Like what she did to her girlfriend, I was like, holy.
To be fair, I think she had a psychotic break at that point. I consider the most evil family member has got to be Frederick.
Which one was Frederick again?
The one who tortured his beloved wife. Yeah,
the dude letting her wounds like just fester. Locking her in that room, surrounding her by images of their marriage, refusing to listen to her, sedating her, pulling out her teeth, torturing her, and then, oh my god, I hated him so fucking much. For the time
that guy
was.
He had it coming.
That guy was so evil. Like I forgot about that. But yeah, him and her were crazy evil.
Well, because the impression we got, of course, was Vic repressed the whole situation after she threw the. I forget what object it was, but she threw it at her girlfriend, killing her.
A bookend thing.
And then that's what I mean about the play on the telltale heart, with just the beating, the noises. And then when we were watching it, me and my friends, we did not expect that she would have. I think one of us threw it away as like an idea. Like, what if she tried the heart on her girlfriend? And we were like, the curious thing is they had a very specific shot showing her grabbing the object and throwing it. It's a bit weird to do that and to not have it follow up on anything.
I knew she killed her the second, because they cut the scene. I was like, oh, she dead. She got her in the head. And then when they started doing the beating, I was like, it's the beating of the telltale heart. Like they're doing it. Like it was so cool that they were doing that sound effect, and it's obviously a heart. You can hear it. And like her story was all about making this heart that's gonna, make people live or whatever. And those are the things that I'm talking about that I was like really, really enjoyed about the show, was those little things that they took from Poe and just like that's just planted everywhere. And I love that scene where they come out of the timeless space with the devil when they made the deal. And like there's a raven on the wall, and they just look back, and it's just like this mural with the giant raven. And I was like, that is freaking cool. Like there's just so many little things and shots that like pay homage to Poe. And I thought that was well done.
I thought it was neat too that the two Usher sort of head of the family, you've got one that's trying to, through medical science, repair his heart and keep him going, sort of thing. And then the other, through technological science, is trying to preserve her brain. Like they're both trying to defeat, death at that point, with the devil.
Yeah. I also thought it was cool that they brought in another big horror story in a throwaway line about Frankenstein, when herself, his final wife, was saying, "You're Victor and I'm your creature." And in many ways, he was playing Victor Frankenstein on all of the characters as well, turning them all into monsters, because the children were good children until after he became rich and then indulged them and made them all psychos and all the other ones, that he created monsters all over the place using his science and his medicine.
That was really interesting.
She said they were starving and he didn't feed them emotionally. He just stuffed them with money. And of course, the expectation of you will get a shit ton of money when you turn a certain age, and you've got to build a project on your own that's really strong and powerful, which is insane pressure. And it's not anything warm. It's not anything family building. It's just can you prove yourself to be strong? Which I can believe Roderick thought was like a good way to bring up the children somewhat, but he just wasn't a loving father.
And I guess that leads me to the first death, which I thought was amazing. And that was the youngest son.
Oh, yikes. Harry, who I can't tell you how many of those types of little crap kids I've met in LA.
Like the totally
What do you mean,
privileged-
L.A. in middle school? They're showing up in friggin' middle school. These rich kids.
Well, I mean,
with their
they're
little
adults when
TikToks.
I met them, and when they
Yeah.
started getting out of line, I had no problem slapping them around something fierce.
Yeah, well, sadly, I'm
because
not
that's
allowed.
what because again, they're kids with lots of money, and the only reason they're liked is because they have lots of money,
Yep.
and they try to get away with murder, and yeah, it's I thought his story was really fun to watch because you could see as soon as they saw that he was going to go into this building, I'm like, and then they did the sprinkler stuff. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah. When I was watching, I was like, they're going to melt. And a friend was like, melt? What's going to be in the water? I was like, it'll be acid or lava or something crazy. Because I thought Death, Devil, whatever, was going to use some magic shit. I was very pleasantly surprised to see how they justified the material that was coming out of the sprinklers. I thought that was good.
Well, they played on the ignorance and the egos of him and his entire posse. It's like, of course, they'll never test the water that's on the jugs up in the barrels on the top of the roof.
Yeah, what could
And
possibly
again,
go
hitting
wrong?
home the pharmaceutical companies being so evil that they're just like, oh, we're just gonna hide like this this
Chemical waste.
Yeah, and
this
it was
chemical waste
the incompetence on the part of Frederick for not having demolished that building yet and dealt with the materials.
Right.
Mhm,
No, it's
mhm.
twofold because his incompetence for not doing it, and then Perry's ego for wanting to prove that his debauchery club is going to be a successful business,
Mhm.
and so desperate to do anything, he took none of the actual responsibilities required in starting a business, which was the whole point of what Roderick was saying to him and why he didn't want to do it. It was great.
It was fantastic, and this is also where the nudity plays out a lot because he basically throws an orgy, and
Yeah.
I thought that scene was great. I was very shocked because again it's Netflix, so I was just like, oh, and they're not all overweight and ugly. Oh, this is great.
Did
We had some
anyone get any
titties.
Hellraiser vibes? The
Yeah.
going from extreme engagement in all kinds of pleasure to a pit of flesh. Just
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, they had it
Yelping.
coming.
Yeah, it was
great.
Imagery is
I
something else.
was surprised that a lot of the dead bodies, their clothes didn't burn off or like cinder away, because I was thinking like, the wife, Froderick, yeah,
Nice.
Froderick's wife, her dress was still on her. I'm like, well, if her dress should have melted off as well,
Yeah.
because it should have been most of her body. If it's still on her, then wouldn't that mean those areas of her body are, and it's not damaged? Wouldn't that mean those areas of her body are protected? Like, why didn't they do something more gruesome with that? Like make the clothing melt right into their skin and flesh, so that you have this really, they have to like cut the material off the body. That would have been cool. But
That would have been crazy even more, like, because it was so funny too, because a friend of mine was texting me and then he's like, so how's it going? Like, and I had just finished that episode and I was like, oh, I just watched an orgy with a really tragic ending. And he was like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
it's the ultimate gonorrhea.
Oh God.
Oh, not the kind of finish they were hoping for.
No.
But no. This one, I think this one was my favorite death scene, but also the cat. Okay, because I have a soft spot for cats. Everybody knows I love kitty cats. That whole thing was fucking mental. Okay, like I was just like, please, especially like when he like first wakes up and like the cat's dead. I was like, why? Like, why would you do this? I hope this cat kills you. And then that's exactly what happens.
But the cat isn't dead, because at the very end, the cat is there with his collar and everything.
I find Leo's story complicated because I don't think he's as clear and immoral child compared to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Something that really gave points to him that almost none of the others get is that he's the only one that has an emotionally, distraught reaction whenever discussing the deaths of the other children. Everyone else doesn't give a single shit. They're all thinking about themselves, what money, inheritance, and power plays, and the informant, and all that stuff. But he gets legitimately like furious at the fact that no one cares that Perry died. And I actually was just like, oh, that he seems like he's got something. And then, of course, really consider what happened with him. He did not kill the cat. He took a lot of drugs because he's under a shit ton of pressure, and his family members are dying. / one of them died. And he wakes up this could happen to any of us in theory. We can wake up and we look at something and it's like, you did this and you have no memory of doing it. And so you're like, oh shit, what do you do? And someone I was watching it with was like, well, he's a fucking piece of shit because he got a replacement cat and he didn't tell them what he did. And I was like, is that so far out of the league for a person to do? A normal person, a person who is relatively good. I could totally see myself if I was ridden with guilt on drugs and I just flipped out and killed a beloved pet. If I had the chance to completely replace it for that person, yeah, I feel like I could do that and feel bad about it. But hopefully I evade them having to deal with, the horrors of knowing I butchered their pet. Like
I think I could live with it.
Yeah, I'd call that a moment of weakness in what could be a good person compared to the stuff the others do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, his immoral aspect is that he sells drugs and he hands out drugs to his family members at their request. I will say this, that story of the cat reminded me of an old Larry David story where he was house sitting a girlfriend at the time and he lost the cat and he ended up getting a replacement one. And then that replacement cat dies. And because it dies, when she took it to the vet, it apparently wasn't well fed or anything like that because it was dying when he got the replacement. And so when it dies, she wants him to buy him a new cat, and he's like, "No."
That was Seinfeld, and it was George, and he killed the cat.
No, but it's Larry David wrote the episode.
Yeah.
Because it's based off a real story that happened with Larry David.
Oh my god! Oh, I see what you're saying. It was like an actual story.
No, not to get too off topic, but a lot of the horrible things that George does really happened to Larry David, who wrote the character for George.
Well, as far as the replacement thing, we've all done that with a goldfish, or when the kids at school and it's like, oh crap, and you go to the thing and you replace the pet. But I actually think that he was kind of horrible, mainly because when you are a drug dealer, that is sometimes worse than being on drugs. Now I understand all of the, how do I say this, the subtleties of when you're an addict and all of that, but he was handing out all that stuff.
Yeah, but Teresa, the entire family were drug dealers.
Like,
they were working for.
To be clear, I'm saying if there were tiers, he's below the tier that all of his family members are on.
Understood.
Like
he's one. Yeah, I mean, Lenore, obviously the granddaughter, is the most pure, and then
exactly
it's him, and then everybody else just kind of falls afterwards.
Yeah, and I mean,
I understand, Mahler, what you mean by that.
That chick with the white hair, which is actually Flanagan's wife, I think. That's the one that plays,
she's in every one of his projects.
Yeah, that one. She was kind of like the most evil one because she was also the one that was like, oh, we can spin this to like make it look like this or whatever.
I think the perfect scene for her to complete the character that I needed when I was watching was the when she described herself as Frederick put her in a room of smoke and mirrors and made her the fan, as in to spin around. And I was like, and you could tell she lamented it because it destroyed her as a person. And the fact that she had some self-awareness on that, like the fact that he told her, like, you will collect information on everyone and you will do what I tell you in terms of what stories we want told. It's like, there's nothing left of her humanity after that. And of course, her demise being quite ironic in terms of she was desperate to prove one of her other family members was a traitor. Like, not because it was the truth, but because she wanted it to be the truth at that point.
Did you guys see that coming too? Because I totally saw it coming. Like when he's like, there's one of you is a narc, basically. I was like, oh, he lying. Like that. This is definitely a plot to like set them against each other, and it worked like so well because they're all psychos.
Funny enough, the theories I had was either there's no informant or that the dad was going to be the informant, that the reveal was going to be that the dad, through guilt over all these years, finally was like, I'll just give you all the information. Because that's what I thought the context for the conversation was going to be. But the no informant thing seemed like a no-brainer. But that's what I kind of like about this, is that the family members are so damn ego-driven that they believed it instantly. That like, one of you would traitor us. And I love the family meeting where Madeline was like, we're not just gonna disown you or sue you. We will destroy you. There won't be anything left. There won't even be like a puddle left in your designer shoes. By the way, she's my pick for the worst of the family. Madeline.
She's the most evil one.
She's manipulating Roderick from the very beginning too. Like that's That's very evil of her.
She's. I would say it's pretty clear she's the reason that Roderick became a much worse person. Unfortunately, you could see Annabelle Lee and Madeline being the angel and the devil on his shoulder, sort of thing.
Definitely. I did have a little bit of a problem at first and I think I told you this, Muller, because I had just watched like the first or second episode, and I was like, I'm having a hard time following the characters like throughout time, because they weren't really kind of focusing on which character was which in the first couple of episodes, but then it went into like each of them and who they are and how they're dying, so it like kind of nailed it home, and I was just like, oh, okay, now I'm following it along. But I thought at first it had a little bit of like I don't know if it was, it's not called a pacing issue, it's more like a setup, like to show like who's who and like whatever. Like for example, with this girl, like I never knew who she was. Like I was like, who is that? Like which one is the bastard kids and which one is like the not bastard kids? Like at first you don't really know, and then it just kind of like you have to kind of stick it out in order to figure out who it is, I think.
Did you like of all of their projects? She was the one running the bugs, trying to get everybody to get with the bugs, and they compared it to Goop several times.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Customized, unique, at-home remedy, healthcare remedy.
Oh my god, you're right.
It also got like a very. I wasn't sure how to react to the fact that at first I thought it was really funny that on the stage when she's delivering her speech and she sees her almost doppelganger, right, in the form of the devil in the seat, and she says, "What are you doing here?" And it cuts to the current wife of Roderick, and she's just like, "I just wanted to support you."
And then when she throws that thing and it hits her in the face,
the mic stand,
no.
That's where I was like, I want to laugh. I'm really having trouble not laughing at that.
I laughed. That was funny. I was like, oh my god, that poor girl, because she was getting like so fucked over by everybody, and everybody hated her.
Yeah. Now, one thing that annoyed me,
she was a cuck. Like that was also kind of, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, this dinner scene though really put me a little bit slightly over the edge, because for Frank's sake, Flanagan is sometimes just so sledgehammering you with everything, and he chose friggin' Beethoven's 7th Movement 2 for the 100,000th time. It's not original to use that piece of music anymore, and so I almost started hating the movie at this point. It's like, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. Get Beethoven's 7th out of the soundtrack. It was very unoriginal, and it's like, I know you're trying to get us all excited and mad and all this, but it really took me out of the scene here, especially because we all almost knew right away that there wasn't really a traitor. I don't know. That's just maybe
that's fascinating. I didn't catch that at all. I mean, I usually have a feeling for that when it's like, what's it called? I see a red door and I want it painted black. Like that song, I feel like
Painted
it's like,
black.
wait, that one. Painted black. That
every movie
uses that.
Well, and I was going to say the informant stuff, I wasn't too concerned whether or not there was one. I was really interested in what it would do for the dynamics of the family. Obviously, him putting a 50 million bounty runs in strongly with the narrative of what the goals of everyone is. A lot of people assume that like Vic is the one that's doing it to cover up her horrors in the surgery, and that's why Camille is dead, because like all these theories get run. Frederick it believes it was Perry, right? In episode 2, he like puts him up against the wall and he's like, I know it's you, and I know that you're taking more interest in the business suddenly because you're ready to try and destroy it, sort of thing. So I like that aspect, whether or not we knew that. But you're not wrong about there's a subtlety problem with this show more than I felt with the others. Like I actually thought for a second it was kind of interesting that she made the decorations of a book of law, and that was their cake. But then you have a character explicitly say, while you eat the law. And I was like, yeah, no, I get it.
You got the symbol the 5th time.
Oh, yeah, they really spoon-fed you sometimes.
One would argue it was already overt enough by doing it the way they did it. But then you have someone point it out. I was like, no, I way prefer it when they don't.
Yeah, I like it when they don't too. I just saw this picture as I was like scrolling through like the things, and you're right. This dude was so evil. Like this guy, he's got like the wife's picture, like their wedding picture.
He's
as
got a
like
man bun. That's how you know he's evil.
Oh, dude, Seriously, I had so much fucking hatred for him, and I was like, Flanagan, you best give him an ending that he deserves, please.
It
Good one, too.
You know that
good.
moment where he's refilling and he like freezes and his wife looks almost terrified?
Mm-hmm.
We were all like, what was that? And I was like, was she there? Was that what was that? And then when they show you it later, I was like, oh, that's awesome. She did it in front of her to let her know what she was doing.
Yeah. There's so many things that this guy did that was just like so morbid and
Yeah, he was
fucked
fucked
up.
up.
Did you like the little foreshadowing when the daughter and the mother are watching on Netflix that movie and they saved the father from the swinging
Pendulum,
blade,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh, that's how Frederick's gonna die.
I didn't catch that.
Yep.
Oh shit. That's interesting. That's cool. I didn't catch it. Wow.
Oh man, when that pendulum goes down just enough just to like take off a really thin line on his stomach, and you're just like, oh, this is gonna be slow.
The bastard had it coming. Well, I mean, when he got the pliers and the teeth
Oh
in.
my god,
I
yeah.
know this guy
And he
was
would have been a
bugged.
dentist in another life.
Yeah, I thought that was great. The irony is, he would
It's
have been
so
a
funny,
good
by the
dentist.
way. When we started up the show, I mean, the friends I was watching it with, we were worried about this guy because we were like, they haven't done much to make him evil. I wonder if they'll sort him
Yeah.
out by the end of it, you know? And there was a theory for one of us, like, maybe he'll be the good one.
Well, he was broken by the fact that he couldn't trust his wife, and
Yes.
she was
Mhm.
tempted, and I like the fact that she got the warning and she chose not to leave. And then by the time she saw everybody else, the security leaving, that's when she's like, oh, I got to get out of here. But it was too late, and the acid fell. And
I don't know, dude. If somebody came up to me and was like, "You need to get out of here now," I think I would run out immediately. Like,
So
I don't know.
The
It's
reason I would, if someone did that, is I would be like, shit, do they know who I am?
Yeah.
That person. I'd be like, uh-oh, I'm out.
someone
Yeah,
cares
you-
enough about me that I should leave. I think I'm going to take that
Yeah.
as word and go.
Yeah. That's why there was like some decisions in the show where I was like, wait, what? Like, why would you not do that? That's why Madeline's choice of like putting an IUD in and never having kids was really fascinating to me, because I was like, that's what I would do if I made a deal like that. I'd be like, I'm never having kids then. That's fine. But the other thing too that was really fascinating to me, and I really loved, and Mahler, you talked about this earlier, was the conversation of Arthur Pym with the devil or death, or whatever you want to call it, Verna. And where he was like saying that he doesn't have any weaknesses because he didn't have family, he didn't have anything. And he was like, and he refused the deal because of like the kind of person he was.
My personal pick for the chattest moment of the whole season is he said no to the devil deal. That's so awesome.
That is so cool. I was like,
and he said you'd weather the consequences because you'd rather do that than.
And he did, because he was the only one that went to prison, and you know all the bad things happened to him afterwards, and he didn't care.
She did mention that as much as his abilities as a lawyer were reflected as a result of the, so to speak, spell that was cast on the Ushers, at the same time, he is impressive. And I appreciated that. And that he was like, yeah, I'm going to take, like, I believe in my skill. I believe in my abilities. And I'm going to go out on my own terms. We'll see what happens. Which is just awesome. Yeah, there's something unreal and amazing to me that Death walks into the house being like, all right, where is he? And she's like, oh, he's killing me. Wow. Okay. All right. Like, wraps her up, gets the team in, and then she's just like, is that the team that takes you apart by piece and then ships you out? Are you still doing that? And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, his like facial expressions were amazing. Like he just did such a good job in this. Oh, and the other chick too, I thought this was funny, Mahler, like when the one, I forget all their names. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. But the one with the white hair, she was like in like, yeah, her. She was like in a freaking polyamorous relationship with
she was the peak of abusing your power as a boss.
100%, like the toxic female totally abusing her power. And then these guys are like, well, we fell in love and we kind of don't want to do this anymore.
It is funny that they were like trying to do the cute, like, yeah, we got to do it, and she's just like, oh, fuck off.
Like, she's like, I have needs. Like, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, damn. Like she was like the Harvey Weinstein of like their group, because she was like, she had hired these people specifically to tend to her physical needs as well as her emotional ones. And I was like, I mean, at least she knows what she wants. Like it was probably in the job description, I guess. Like, you're gonna have to fuck
she
me
would've.
every day. Like it's kind of crazy.
To be honest with you, she probably had Pym write them. Like they would have been very explicit, and that these two, if they say a word, would be annihilated. Like.
Yeah, because she even mentioned it. She was like, "Read your NDA," and I was like, "Oh my god, like that is so crazy."
She's very familiar as a publicist attitude and PR person's like, "Yeah, we don't care. We'll just make this. We'll say whatever we have to make us look good as a result of this." I mean, the whole exploitation of Perry's death, and that they donated to charities anyway, so they can just throw his name on top of him to make him grieving.
Yeah.
And really exploit that so that they can kind of counteract the negative press from the trial. I'm like, oh man, she is evil, just like a lot of other publicists I know.
Yeah. But shout out to the fact that she admitted and was proud of the fact that she was a starfish.
Oh my god!
I was like, that is awesome.
Wow. Real quick, we have a late addition to this the show, and a surprise to me is. As well as you guys. Hey, what's up, Kara?
Hi.
Hey. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, I just
How
finished
you
up
doing?
dinner and hanging out with the hubby, and I was just like, I need to join in on this because I was watching you guys talk about it. I was like, yeah.
Sure. What are your overall thoughts on the show? Tell us what you're thinking.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I was one that I really enjoyed the show, and I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah, I would watch it again too. Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite death?
Ooh, I think Leo's was one of my favorites. I think I just liked Leo so much just because I was like eyeballing his entire apartment just to try and find every single gaming Easter egg that there was.
Oh,
so yeah. For those who don't know, Rahul Kohli is the actor. He is like a hardcore gamer in real life. Good friends with Flanagan. I imagine he told Flanagan, "Let me take care of the set
his girlfriend
design."
His girlfriend was a writer on God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, well
cool.
Then, yeah,
didn't know that.
lines up.
Yeah,
but I was gonna
he's
say,
dating Alana Pierce.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually know that. I was just gonna say that the seeing Mjolnir in the background. When he realized the cat was in the walls, me and all the friends I was with were like, "Get Mjolnir,
get the hammer!"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you had lots of
good.
MCU stuff in there.
Yeah,
a lot of MCU stuff. There was a bunch of PlayStation memorabilia everywhere. He was playing. I'm trying to remember what game he was playing. In the very beginning.
Oh, wasn't it Mortal Kombat?
Or was it Mortal Kombat? I don't remember.
It was no. He wasn't playing a fighting game.
When he was when we first met him, he was on the sofa. But later on, he's playing
a first-person shooter or something. Yeah.
I think he was playing Red Dead. He was playing Red Dead.
Well, the thing that blew me away was that he had Discord on his left screen, and I was like, "Oh my god, he must have gotten them to do that."
Cyberpunk was on there too.
That's probably yeah.
Yeah, he was playing Cyberpunk on the computer.
That's the kind of detail that I was like, okay, he must have told him, because nobody know, because I have 3 monitors at this point for all the work I do, and my Discord is the full screen on the left one. I was like, holy shit, he's me. It's amazing.
He's one of us.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. Oh man, you guys caught stuff I did not catch. That's why I would go back and watch this, just because of the stuff that you just said. I mean, obviously Mjolnir I caught, but I didn't catch the PlayStation memorabilia or anything
I noticed
too
all
crazy.
The little statues he had, and all the little PlayStation memorabilia he had on the shelf in the bedroom, and that.
That's cool. The little things. I like those kind of things too. It's like the little things that make it even more real and fun. I like that. I like this comment by Tim here that says, "No attachments, just like a Jedi." For for Mark Hamill's character, and that's true.
What a Jedi move!
It was very well. Was it more like a Jedi or Sith? I don't know. I mean, technically, I
Maybe
guess
both.
Jedi.
Just
a little bit.
Yeah, because the word he used specifically was leverage, and obviously what he's referred to is no one can ever have a one-up on him in any way, shape, or form. But then they remind us at the end.
He said no collateral.
Was it?
He said no collateral.
Nothing anyone could leverage him with. But you're right, yeah, because she was asking for collateral for the deal. In any case, they remind us at the end, though, that Camille, her whole purpose in life was to collect information on people, and that he is the lawyer, so there was obviously going to be something on him, especially with the amount of people he has likely killed over the years. Possibly.
Now, with the mom, like the Madeline and what's his name? The main character.
Roderick.
Roderick, yeah, Roderick's mom. Like she was clearly kind of effed up. And just a little bit. And we know that like basically that the father was the guy she killed. But
yes.
Was she visited by this devil entity in order for her to go crazy? Like, what do you think like drove her to that kind of like extreme madness, or do you think that she just had mental illness to begin with?
Well, you can go
she had Catacil, which was the sickness that Roderick was trying to keep from getting.
Yeah, it's vascular delusions.
Yeah, it's like dementia almost, but a very painful dementia.
Okay, so that it was basically kind of like mental illness, you would say.
Yeah, it's a genetic hereditary disease that I guess skipped Madeline but got to Roderick. I did find it quite ironic how the mother is this very kind of religious person. But not up to the point where sleeping with her boss is not considered egregious or a sin or anything of that nature.
Or murdering him.
Well, I think the impression I got was that was an accident on both of their parts, or that she decided to try and climb the ladder a little bit by, doing some things that maybe she regrets.
She was a submissive secretary.
Yeah, like because the impression I got was that they wanted to give you space to have a more maybe supernatural interpretation of what happened, but also have an explanation that was more mundane.
Right. And I think that was kind of also a big hint towards the real story behind, because this is all based on Edgar Allan Poe's short story by the same name. And in that story, it's basically mostly about Madeline's mental illness, because there is no kids in that story. Like this show took a lot of
liberties
to make these characters, because they're not even in the first one, and it's just basically between him and the narrator, which kind of like is supposed to be, I guess, the black dude, the detective in this one.
Well, they
but I think
take a lot from other Edgar Allan Poe works, like Augie's from another one, like
Pam
Lenore's name. Yeah, all of them have ties to, like Tamerlane have ties. Her husband's name has a tie to other works by Edgar Allan Poe. So they all kind of fit in there, but just in the Poe universe.
Yeah, Poe universe.
His anthology of stories. Yeah,
the Poeverse. Yeah, the Poeverse.
The Poeverse.
Poor Edgar Allan Poe.
I like Poeverse.
We went there.
Well, so something I want to ask you guys, because I'm not really familiar with his work beyond, subtle, or I say subtle references, like it is to me, like, Telltale Heart. I know that is overt, but what I guess I'm saying is I miss all the subtle references. I miss all the direct adaptations. I've seen a lot of people very unhappy with it as an adaptation of Poe's work, but you sound, all of you sound a little more positive on it. So how's it fare as faithfulness goes?
Well, I would say it's not very faithful. It's not so much an adaptation of his work as it is an amalgamation of what his work for a newer story that hits certain beats of all of other Poe's works. It's really just homogenized. And it's not distilled, but it's really like he really has fun exploring with each of them. And I'm not 100% familiar with all of Poe's stories.
Organic.
Yeah, it flows very well. I mean, I think it's woven together quite well. As I said at the start, the only thing that bothers me with Flanagan's dialogue is that too often his characters are talking to the audience and not to each other.
And I think that's why I'm more forgiving, is because it's not even trying to be a real adaptation. So
no, it's not.
It just takes those little tidbits of information from his other stories to kind of like, it's almost like an Easter egg for people who have read Poe's works before. Like people will be like, oh, I kind of see where this was inspired from, or just kind of like the aha moment. Where it's not like Script said, it's not an adaptation. It's more of just it's just a
It's an
tribute to
amalgamation.
his work.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it definitely is, because I've seen many people take Shakespeare's plays and then tell a story that touches on all of Shakespeare's plays using all of Shakespeare's characters interwoven together. And I mean, it's a par for the course type of thing. A lot of writers do this as an exercise to see how can they take another author's work and then reinterpret it in another way that pays homage to what they're doing. I think this is what Flanagan was doing with Edgar Allan Poe, and I appreciated the ingenuity behind it.
That's exactly how I feel about it too. Because I mean, and I get what you're saying, Mahler, because I read some of the stuff about like some people being really mad about it. But I feel like a lot of people were mad about it because, well, first of all, you can't have a really direct adaptation of that story because honestly, it would be boring because it's about brother and sister sitting and the brother's talking about basically like the mental illness of the sister the entire time. Like you can't have an 8-episode show about a direct translation of what the story is about. So he took liberties, and I think the liberties worked in this case. But just like Script Doctor and Kara were saying, it's just very like minimum stuff that if you're familiar with it, you're going to pick it up and it's going to sound cool. But otherwise, it really isn't that crazy unless you're just like a Poe addict and you're like, this is wrong. Like you're like, no, this is not good.
So
So
a
I can
friend of
see it.
mine who I think agrees with this sort of sentiment, I assume you guys do as well, is that the most important thing about adapting a piece of work in terms of the faithfulness is maintaining the spirit. Like that's the core. So whatever the story you're taking, like whatever major themes and points they were trying to get across, hopefully you can maintain that, if not the specifics. So he felt that these stories misunderstood Poe's works and at times were counter to their spirit, which I can't speak on myself, but I was just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
For me, it was a little bit of a column A and column B situation, especially because of the wokeness that was going on in the story. I was like, oh my God, there's just so much stuff that's like, I mean, like you would think like Edgar Allan Poe would kind of be rolling in his grave when you kind of think, oh, that's an interpretation I didn't expect, right?
Well, a lot of the wokeness is coming from the bad characters, the characters that are evil and you want to die. Like Madeline's stuff about men and being controlled by men and stuff. I'm like, she's a villain. She's supposed to say stupid stuff like that.
I was about to say, can we talk about that?
Yeah,
sure.
What's the idea of giving that speech to the most evil, reprehensible piece of shit bitch in the whole show?
That is,
makes me wonder, is Flanagan really trying to say that?
What did Flanagan mean by this?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is in writing stuff, when you're writing bad, antagonists or villain characters, you want to make them say the bad things. Like that's it. And if you're hearing something terrible coming out of a bad person, that's technically speaking the voice of the writer or the author saying, yes, these are ideas I think are bad. That's why I'm having the bad person say them.
Because I'm inclined to very much agree with you. I think that if we take it for what it is, Madeline is a monster, and she's telling you that she took what she perceived in the world, which was like women have to struggle and work harder and stuff, and that she decided, you know what, fuck everything. I'm just going to get what's good for me and screw everyone else over, which is just like, well, yeah, you took a sort of very narrow view of the world and it destroyed you, and you let it.
That's really interesting, and I totally agree. One of the things that I kind of have a little bit of a gripe with was, I guess, that the design of the house, because that was one of the main things of the main short story was the how he described the interior of the house, the paintings, the just the gothic sense of what you're surrounded with, and in the main story has a lot more detail. And it's funny to me that you guys are talking about, like, for example, Leo's room and how amazingly like the set was for that and how many Easter eggs they put in there. Whereas they did kind of the opposite with the main house that is supposed to be the center of the story, which is the Usher house, and how it's burned down and everything. They just kind of really showed like the interior was just like him and Arthur just sitting at the like in front of the fireplace, and everything's like burnt down. You don't see anything. There's no paintings. There's no that gravitas, kind of like the way he had with the house on Haunted Hill, like in the first one, which I thought was a missed opportunity here. Like maybe they just didn't have the budgeting for it. Like I'm not really sure, but
I think
that
it
was
atmospheric and intentionally atmospheric.
I agree
that was
with
a missed
Script.
opportunity.
Well, I mean, it's got to be believable that this is a single mom with 2 kids. Like they're probably not going to have a mansion unless she inherits a fortune. So I can see why they don't have like a huge house and how it's all like magnificent and as stunning as Hill House or even Bly Manor.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see it. Like this seems more like your typical house that you would see in the 50s.
Okay. Yeah, I see what
and
you're
this
saying.
house visually is representative of how the family actually is. It's not in good condition. It's held together by will. It's got everything's boarded up. It's ugly. It's no longer a home anymore. This is basically an allegory for the entire Usher family. It's and inside it's empty and it's bare bones and it's rotted and it's not. It has no life to it. I think that's what they're going for deliberately. And the speech that Bruce Greenwood gives about why he kept the house is to remind him of where he came from, so that he would actually feel no remorse or regret for the stuff he did to get where he went. I thought, oh yeah, that's kind of dark. It's like, yeah.
That's interesting. I thought like they could have done better with the interior. Like I was fine with the exterior of the house, but the interior of the house I thought they could have done better with, like in terms of like the mood of setting up, especially like juxtaposing like the before and after kind of thing, because most of the time we saw the aftermath, so you're not really seeing like the differences, because you see it in the first episode a little bit because they're like in the house, but you kind of forget as the episodes go on because they get away from that. Like this scene is what I'm talking about mainly. Like there's nothing really that connects you to what the old place used to be like versus the new place.
Did you sorry to interrupt, but did you enjoy the scene when August is sitting in the chair and then Bruce Greenwood says, "Oh, my mother's behind you," and you see just in the corner someone is standing there, but it's so still that you kind of can't see it, and then all of a sudden she walks away and moves, and you're like, "Oh, that's really well framed."
I love that.
Definitely make her out when she walks away. It's good stuff.
Well, they do that so much in a Hill House as well, where like unless you have your gamma turned up on your monitor, like there's ghosts in so many scenes in that you wouldn't even know unless you're like specifically looking for them.
Yeah. And one could argue maybe that's why it's so blank, is because the ghosts are the decor. So if there was anything else there, it would take away from that.
That's interesting. And I just want to make a quick note about this bottle of God, I want that in my life. Like I want to drink it, but I just want it. Like this is the coolest bottle of freaking booze I've ever seen in my life.
100-year-old whiskey.
Yeah. 3D print it and bedazzle it.
Oh my God, I should.
The same bottle she poured a drink out of for him at the bar.
At the bar.
Yep.
She did say the drink to drink on the best day of your life and the last day of your life.
Last day of your life. That's true. And it was I thought that was really cool too. That scene was awesome. Okay, let's talk about the ending. So what did you guys think of the ending? Because at first I was like, okay, they killed the dude, like, they killed their boss. They did some really evil shit. And then, everyone's systematically dying in this family, including Lenore, who was like kind of like the innocent one. She's saved
the only innocent one in the entire show.
Yep. Yeah, but she saved him for last because I feel like she wanted to prolong his suffering. And she kind of, because I can't say she felt bad for Lenore because she's the devil / death. I don't think she feels bad for anyone.
But Lenore was also the most recent addition to the Usher family. So I think that's why she was last. Now, given I know they went off on a different path with like Perry being first to die, like they went with like the youngest to the oldest with the kids, and then of course there's only one grandkid, so like they went to Lenore after, of course, Frederick died.
And you got the sense that Lenore was the only grandchild that Roderick actually gave proper nurture and attention to. Like,
yeah,
and I think that's partly tied to he started to regret everything the older he got.
Yeah,
as most people do.
I really enjoyed the performance of knowing that even Lenore is going to suffer thanks to your deal. Like he took it real bad. Like, and how he sees it as she's got, Annabelle's blood in a way, and that's why that she made it while the others didn't, so to speak.
Right. I almost like a part of me thought that she was gonna stay alive because like how she kind of like tried to save her mom and everything. Like the devil was like,
I would have said the show had no balls if they'd saved Lenore, because that deal with the supernatural shit, I was like, you gotta commit. You can't make a deal like that and then be like, well, that one's really nice though. Like,
because the cop out would be that she's not really the granddaughter of Roderick because the wife cheated on him. And I'm like, I'm so happy
that
they didn't do that.
was something I thought of too. Like that crossed my mind. That crossed my mind.
You could have saved her in the writing room, but that would have, I think, been lame.
But you saw the regret on Verna when she did kill her. She really didn't seem like she wanted to do that, and that's why she just let her go.
And she said that.
Yeah.
Well, she made it the most peaceful death too. Like it wasn't like there was no suffering going on with Lenore. And of course, I love the fact that her name was Lenore because, you know, that's Edgar Allan Poe's most famous poem and
from the Raven.
Well, I assume everyone, when he said there's one message that keeps repeating, I assume everyone was like, nevermore, nevermore, nevermore. There it is.
Dead.
Well, he like started to recite the poem, and at that point, I was just kind of like reciting it with him because it was pretty awesome, and I was like, yes.
I just got goosebumps again.
Me too. It was like those kind of parts, like I really enjoyed. But now, leading up to the death of Madeline, because like that was kind of like the main, and that's kind of that's what happens.
Oh wait,
in the
did you want to? We didn't talk about Camille's death.
Oh, really? Let's please go ahead.
So the main thing that stood out to me in that one for the creep factor was when Verna, when she was moving closer and closer to it, when she stood up and she started to move a lot like
the monkey.
Chimp. Yeah, I was like, oh fuck, that is the chimp. I was like, then when she took the photo, I was like, that was I don't know. I found it really satisfying, that death scene.
I did too, but at first I didn't think it was the monkey. Like I was like, there's no way that's the monkey. Like really, like because I thought it was like it
got pretty definitive when she ripped open her shirt and you saw the scar. The chest scar.
Yeah,
that evil monkey. And then
she was like channeling that the chimps have a point of view on all of this. They're not happy. And what I really liked about unfortunately my name's blanking me, but Camille, the actress performance, she goes from being like, she's like, who are you? What's going on? To, oh, you're so fired, random security guard, to I'm gonna have you killed, to oh, you're like, I'm dead. I thought she did a really good job transferring from all of those points of view the more that Verna talked.
Oh, so it's the 5 stages of grief almost in that situation for her from that sequence.
Well, and that was like a really interesting part for me too, because that was when things really started to get rolling, because they were like, oh, here she is. She's a security guard. Like, we got to track her down. Like, this is a real person. It's not like it's a spirit or a ghost or like, oh, there's a physical manifestation of this person that's going around and actually committing these crimes and being like, they're actually there. Because whereas in before, like in the first couple episodes, you're kind of like, well, is this person actually there? Or is this like kind of like a projection, or like what is going on really? And then it's like, oh, she is there. And then they're like, when they really realize that it's her, like at first Madeline's like, wait a minute. Cause she's like, I kind of remember this person, like, but where? It's like, you know, when you're researching your mind into remembering where you saw a person last, like you kind of, cause they look familiar. And then they're like, oh shit. I think I know this person.
The progression is cool, right? She's masked up and wearing like a cloak thing, can't tell. Second one is kind of make out some of her face with the cap on. Then they get I love that part of the show where he's like, enhance. It's like, you can't enhance.
You can't. That's not real.
You don't need it.
That was good. That was so humorous. Those are the parts that were really funny, and I like the enhance. Does enhance means zoom in? Like fucking zoom in then.
I'm surprised even Madeline didn't say anything, because she's supposed to be the computer expert guru.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, zoom in? Like, I don't know. That part was funny though. A lot of humorous parts with Mark Hamill, definitely.
I enjoyed every time he was on screen. The part where they're like, you know, Arthur leave the room and he's about to immediately, but they go, oh, fuck it, and they start explaining the deal and everything. They already give out pieces, and then they're done. And then Arthur just looks at her and goes, tell me everything.
Like, what the fuck? Too bad you have to just leave me there.
Life.
Oh my god, it was honestly, it was really refreshing to see Mark Hamill. Because honestly, I've been so down on him for so long now that I'm just like, are you ever gonna do something again that I enjoy? And that I thoroughly, really enjoyed this performance. I was just like, oh man, it's too bad you're kind of crazy in real life, but
Yeah, but
you
all
can't take
actors
that
are.
away from him.
Most actors are crazy, and the craziest ones are usually the better ones. And have you seen him in The Machine by chance?
No,
I
but I
wanna
wanted to
watch
watch
that.
it. Yeah, I
Check
that's
it
on
out.
my
It's not. It's not.
list.
It's the
I
Burt
mean,
Kreischer one, right?
Burt Kreischer one. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's not a balls to the walls comedy, but it's got some aspects to it that are solid enough for a comedy of these days.
Cool. Mahler, did you see that?
I have not seen that. No.
I just saw it in the store the other day. I was like, I kind of want to watch that.
I
And
saw the
remember
trailer and it looked
seeing the
good.
trailer. Yeah,
I was like,
it just
oh,
looked.
that's interesting.
It just looked crazy.
It is.
I liked his interaction with Lenore as well. Because obviously she's so young, so he's so used to all this. He's like, all right, your statement is this, and then she's like, I'm not saying that, and then he's like, okay,
Oh,
and then she says like, my mom, she's gonna be making a statement, she's blah blah blah, and then he's like, don't worry, when I speak to her, she won't be saying a single thing against the family. So like he says it like a, we'll fix that problem, and then the door's like, oh, well then you're never gonna speak to her. And he's like, huh? Like, what's happening?
Loved that.
Yeah,
I just loved how she stuck up to him and was just like, no, this is my mom. I'm protecting my mother. Like, I don't give a damn about the Usher side of this family. Like, that's my mom. She's number one for me.
Yeah.
That was the interesting part because it really started to show the kind of, again, like how the other kids were being raised and how they were told to, like, basically, like, this dude was kind of like their second dad because he was just basically telling them what to do, what to say, how to reword their things, how to act in public. Like, he's the one that really gave them their image in the eyes of the public. And I thought that was really interesting. And just his character overall, like I said, was just really interesting because he was also like kind of like the opposite of like a male Madeline in a way, because Madeline was just such a psychopath woman and he was a psychopath male. Both didn't procreate. Both didn't both
very methodical. I mean,
yes.
His introduction of doing a crossword while opposing counsel is doing the opening statement. I thought that tells me a lot about this guy.
Yeah.
Right. There was a lot of good, really interesting things about him in there. But I guess did anybody else have anything to say about the monkey death? Because that was nuts. Like I was just like, what the fuck just happened? This fucking monkey.
I think of all the deaths, I think to me that was my least favorite.
The monkey death?
Yeah.
Okay, which one was your favorite?
I kind of wish Vic would have gotten death by monkey. I think
that makes more sense for her.
That makes sense. Like in terms of that happening, but of course, because like I feel like the Vic's death was more about Roderick than it was about Vic right at the end. Like death, or the devil, whatever, making him watch as she forces Vic to stab herself in the heart. Which is valuable. Bruce was fucking brilliant in that scene, by the way.
Vic did that to her. She brought that kind of madness to herself, though, after she had killed her girlfriend.
I think, I'd have to see it again, but I remember getting a distinct impression that she was like almost possessed, and then she sees what she's done to herself and acknowledges it, and then says "Dad," I think, or something like that, as like a sort of help me. But I just remember being in the position of thinking like, oh, Death did that one just to piss off, to really stick the knife into Roderick at that point.
Literally.
See, I think only Frederick was the one that she really had
hated.
Fun with. I think
because there was a
the
tragedy element to all of them in a sense, but Frederick, man, that was a piece of shit right there.
Yeah. I was like, this guy better have the most brutal death.
I mean, you have to hate him. He put a bowling alley in the kitchen.
Yeah. That first scene, I was like, God, I fucking hate this guy. Like that very first scene with him, I was like, I hate him.
Well, yeah, because he's worrying about the informant or like the case against the family, and then Lenore is like, well, we have nothing to worry about if there's nothing to worry about, and if there is, then maybe something should be done about it.
Like that
And,
movie.
and the mum and the dad are like,
Movie.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you sweet summer child.
yeah, and I like that the
God.
mum was like, that's really brave and thingy, but if you want to stay in the will, maybe you you don't say anything about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I did like his tick that he never gets in elevators. He always uses the stairs. And I'm thinking, if he always uses the stairs, why is he always out of breath? Because that's actually good workout. He should actually be
true.
relatively fit.
I
So-
imagine because that's possibly the only workout he gets, right? Because he'll be driven everywhere, and then
Mm.
Too
That's
many
true.
drugs and indulgence.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't start getting into the drugs until he started doubting his wife. Like that's
which
and
did
all
not
the
help.
deaths come in there.
That
It
did not
definitely
help
The
at
not
all.
coke did not help.
But he could have been in it before. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay,
Too
so
many
what was
decaf.
what was your favorite death, Kara?
Ooh. I honestly really liked I told you I thought it was Leo's.
Oh, Leo's. Okay.
Oh, did
The cat
we
death.
fully talk about his?
I mean the cat death, like
Yeah.
my God, that was mental. Like with this whole like Mjolnir
Yeah.
going into the wall, having a psychotic breakdown, and then deciding to go after the cat over the railing. Oh, that
It's like,
poor guy. And then
But
it wasn't there the whole time. Like it was in his head. So see,
It
this
was
is
all
what
in
I'm
his
talking
head.
about. Was he okay? So was he possessed by her, or like was
I think she
he
just drove him
doing
nuts by
drugs?
seeing the cat. Though a good question to ask is how many of his wounds were real.
Yeah.
Because if there was
Right.
no cat, how did he get what happened to his eye? But then
Yeah.
what happened to his eye actually happening? Did
Or
any
did he
character
do it to
directly
himself?
acknowledge
Like
it?
was he scratching
Could have been
himself? Like
himself,
was
yeah.
he doing crazy shit?
But
Because I mean,
we-
people do that.
We also saw an image right after he died of a rat in there that was in the home, as opposed to it being a cat that he was going after.
Oh, like the rat in the wall. So that's
the
what
rat in
was
the wall
like
was
making
part
all
of
the
it.
noise.
Because I think it was like a
Yeah,
mix
but there was
between a
nothing
rat
in the
or-
tub.
No, there's
Remember, there
nothing
was
in the tub. All the
there was
dead
nothing in
things
the tub.
were never there that he
No.
collected. But like there's something in the wall that Verna was she was also the cat, the rat, and then when he dies, the actual cat comes back home and
was like-
jumps on his body because he's got
Yeah,
the
it was
collar
like,
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
was like, oh my
gosh.
God, it was still alive the whole freaking time. This cats, man. Like
The
can't
dead
do
There was
that.
bad
cat, I think
CG
was
on
just
that
an
cat
illusion.
though.
Yeah.
Something that I think about, and I don't know if it's worth thinking about really or not, just does Death / the Devil / Verna think about the amount of damage being done to people who absolutely don't deserve it. His boyfriend is now
I
going to
know.
think that he didn't do enough to look after him, and he had a psychotic break and killed himself.
Oh, same with Bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
And then-
poor
and then,
boyfriend.
and
Had his
just
nose broken.
all those people in the first death, right, and who are there for the orgy. That doesn't make you a bad person inherently.
I know.
Well, they did
But-
imply that a lot of the people there, though, were cheating and all that because he was going to blackmail
The people, that's
them.
the thing. You can
Yeah.
assume several people there were monsters depending on the company and what they're getting up to. But there might have been one or two people there who were single, just looking to mingle.
Yeah, it was
Cat
like
disease.
a lot of collateral damage in the first one. Like it was
Yeah.
like, the other ones were very methodical, like the guy that we said with the
Pendulum
main,
and the
yeah, the pendulum. Like
Mhm.
that is okay. That just him, and then everyone in the orgy, like holy shit, like everybody fucking died on that one. It was like there was thousands of people in there. Like that was a lot.
Well, I
of
mean,
people.
there was 100 people. It
Hundreds.
had to be an exclusive club, but I like the fact that they brought their arrogance and their sins, essentially, their sinful
Sin.
behavior, led to their own demise. Like that's it.
Mhm.
If they didn't pull that switch for the rain, just so they could have sex in the rain on the floor, they'd be fine.
God, that first
Oh.
episode, I was like, what the heck? I
Yeah.
did not expect, like, I had a
That was something,
feeling-
even for Flanagan, I was actually surprised he did that. He doesn't, he's done violence,
Yeah.
but that kind of violence, like,
Mhm. I didn't expect it either. I was like, whoa, this just got real good. Like I was like, this is good shit. Like, oh my God, he's getting out there. But the other two was what was the other death that we haven't talked about? I mean,
Well,
we
Bug
talked about
Lady.
his
Stick with
mom's
the
death.
mirror.
The chick with the mirror?
Tamerlane.
Yeah, remember the
Tamerlane.
mirror fell down on her and cut her to 1,000 pieces?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
She was kind
because
of
of
the
her
weakest
envy.
of the characters out of all the kids.
Well, have you guys heard the theory that each one of the kids symbolizes one of the 7 deadly sins?
No, but I could see it because it's like, obviously the
Lust.
orgy one
who's
is
gluttony?
lust.
Mm-hmm.
Would,
And then
wouldn't it be the-
Tamerlane would be envy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They were saying Victoria is sloth because she didn't actually want to put the work in to get the heart done, and she was that machine done, and she was depending more on her girlfriend for it. They're saying Frederick was wrath. And then I'm trying to remember what Leo was. I think probably gluttony with his
All the drugs.
That could make
drugs,
sense.
all the
yeah,
drugs.
hmm Well, I mean,
Um,
Perry's lustful, obviously.
Yeah,
yes.
Perry was lost.
Do you think
And I
would
think
would
avarice?
Roderick be greed? as like
Roderick and Madeline were greed.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, I think it
What
fits
was-
for the most part.
What about the other chick, like the one we just talked about with the mirror? Envy?
Envy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, but Camille would be.
Which one's left?
Pride.
Pride? Yeah.
Pride, yeah. Wouldn't it be the opposite though, maybe? Because or like Victoria, wouldn't that be pride? And then the like the
Pride-
monkey
so-
death would be
part of doing this with characters that are pretty layered and well realized is that a lot of these would apply to a lot of them. I think
Yeah.
the whole family suffers from pride issues.
that's true.
but,
That's true.
but no, I think it's a good theory.
Plus,
Yeah. I could see it. I could see it. A lot of symbolism there.
I mean, Camille could also be sloth because all the work is being done by her 2 assistants, and she just starfishes when she needs pleasure. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, all right.
And then
No one likes a
and
starfish.
then Victorine could be pride because she's trying to, create this thing
Yeah.
to save her father and doing it all for her father, so that he.
but
could
she
be proud
doesn't
of
know
her.
her father.
Well, yeah, she doesn't know until like the very, very end, and then
Well, I think
by that
um,
point it doesn't matter.
She still has the pressure of both of the heads of the family telling her this work is the one that we care about the most.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one. Like you got to do it. I think the most like useless person in the whole family was that freaking beer chick that died in the end. I was like, you're just
Yeah.
useless. I don't care about you.
She was
at
very
all.
isolated from everything else.
Yes.
I just
Wait,
didn't
which
care
one,
about
sorry?
her.
Tamerlane.
Tammy.
Oh, yeah. I was mostly her story was. There's a lot of things I found funny in it. That's like it felt a little weird to me because
She
she
likes
was still an
watching her
asshole too.
husband
And the
bang hookers, and her husband hates it.
Yeah, what the hell
Yes,
was
they
up with
looked like-
that?
She was pawning off her intimacy onto somebody else because I don't think she knew intimacy. And
Right.
I think she was trying to experience that intimacy through the mirror image of herself.
What a weirdo. That whole thing was
Mm-hmm.
so weird. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, at least the orgy guy was having an orgy. What the hell was this like
Yeah.
weirdo? Like, let me watch myself have sex. Like, what
I mean, I know the
Yeah,
internet's
and
kind
not
of
just
ruined the word, but that was just straight up cuckoldry, right?
it was.
Yeah,
It
she,
Yeah.
100%
100%.
was.
I was like, oh, she pulled up the cup chair. I
Yeah.
straight up said that when
Yeah.
when that happened.
Well, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just normal sex. She was having him lick her armpits. It was humiliating.
Yeah, that was messed up. That chick was so weird. I was like, okay, you are just the weirdest one. And you're like, she was like such a goody two shoes. Like she was like such a Karen, like goody two shoes, but like she was like having like this weird sexual dynamic with her husband. And her husband was like such a nice dude. And then she's like, go fuck
know.
yourself. And he's just like, whoa. Like,
Did anyone
did
think it was
like,
kind of weird how she's like, I see her in the live stream, and he's like, oh, can you show me? He's like, it's a live stream, you can't go back. It's like, wait, yes, you can.
yeah, you can. It's called a
Well,
Yeah.
funnily enough, obviously, like that's one of the things I hate about Twitch. Is it's not easy to go back in the stream. You have to go into like past video broadcast,
VODs.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
but yeah. Something I guess I liked was the fact that when they have their big blowout and she's like, you're nothing without me. It's kind of like we were thinking about it. It's like, no, he's gonna have a lot of sway if he's the face of the subscribers built, right? BILLT, which is kind of
Mhm.
fun. It's like, no, if his subscribers like him, which he seems pretty personable, he could do some serious damage if you don't handle that well, And he does pull that card back on it, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. There's a lot of fun stuff in the show. Like I totally forgot about her stupid weird cuckold.
Brand.
Yeah, I was just like, what
Gold
the
bug.
You just brought
Oh.
that up, and I was like, it all came back. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She was having sex with weird hookers, and or, well, she wasn't. Her husband was.
She was
and
watching.
She was watching. She was a watcher.
Well,
I was
she
like,
wasn't even getting off by the sex. She was getting off by watching the dinner.
I know.
That's
what
when
a
she was messing with
weirdo.
herself.
Well, and to make it even more weird is when they first bring in Werner, she says like, "How was your day?" And he's like, "Whoa!"
And
And
he's like,
starts answering,
"What?"
and then she's like, "This is new," and I was like, "The you never asked him like how his
Right?
day has been."
And
Oh my
honestly,
gosh.
I think that what they were showing was really the narcissism of
Yeah.
people
Mhm.
so invested into a brand and putting all
Mhm.
of their energy into the brand instead of their personal life and really trying to work towards bettering their personal life and their relationships.
Well,
I
and
saw that
also, like,
pure narcissism.
but it's also the pure narcissism of just loving yourself so much that you're like, I want to watch you have sex with someone that looks like me, so
I don't
that
want to
I
put in
can
the
just,
work.
yeah, like I'll just watch
Yeah.
you do. Oh, like it's the most fucked up shit. Like I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
mental, like beyond. But it was good. It was good, kind of mental because it was funny. It made the character a little bit more interesting. I
Well, and
guess.
that's why I really liked her death, frankly, because it was literally the mirror.
The
literally
mirror,
outside her.
the
Yeah.
narcissism
Yeah.
mirror.
And
Mhm.
we've seen that happen a lot symbolically, but yeah, that's what
Mhm.
it does to you truly. And that's when the show's at its best.
Well, and see, that's what I mean. That's what I prefer is, and you didn't have a character go, "Wow, she was so obsessed with herself, and a mirror got her."
Yeah.
You'd be
Yeah.
like, don't sit, don't." Like we can figure that out.
Exactly. And there was no Beethoven music either. It was great.
It
I
was
do like the
silent.
fact where one of the kids says she somehow killed herself with a fire poker. How the heck do you do that?
Yeah. In just the best way. That's so funny. It's like, what did I just tune into? Yeah, we're talking about very weird
The cuck
situations
chair.
there. The cuck
Yeah,
chair.
of course.
Mhm.
And
The cuck
one of the things
chair.
I quite enjoy looking back, if you remember when the we don't know about the deaths or how they happened, but you know, Roderick says like, "I can tell you who killed them," and Augie is like, I mean, like I know how they died." And it's like, you know, when he eventually says like, "I killed him," he's like, "I don't think like I know how I don't think you would have," you know what I mean? Like you look at those
Yeah.
deaths, you're like, how could you have done all of those things? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
he said it was murder.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Said
like
you
I
could get
don't
on
think
murder.
so.
Well, and I guess you could, but
Well, no, but by his logic, he's correct, right? He made the deal
Mhm.
and he gave up
The
his
deal.
bloodline. It's just whether or not you'd buy the story, which is a bit far fetched. But I mean, with everything Augie sees that night, I think you might be
yeah.
buying it.
Well, I mean, that's exactly. I guess that brings us to the very end because that I mean, if I don't know if you would have believed him had Madeline run out the way that she did, and I guess that's kind of like the lead up to that ending was really interesting because again, it kind of reflects on the original story because in the original story, he's having the conversation with the narrator in this case being Augie, I think that's what his name is,
Yeah.
Augie, and then but in the show they like in the original story they make it so that basically Madeline is really mentally ill to a point where he basically gets the narrator to help him kill the sister and they bury her alive because he lies to the narrator saying that she's actually dead, but she's not, she's alive, and then she comes back to life. Well, she comes back to life because she crawls her way out of the grave, out of the tomb, and like ends up killing the brother. But in this it's like, okay, she was locked in the basement or whatever, and then he poisoned her, and then he I don't know what the hell happened. Did he carve out her eyes and like
Yeah.
He
put
carved
did,
their
yeah.
eyes and replaced them with the sapphires
with the
as
sapphires?
like with Egyptian mummification. That's how
Right.
they buried their queens, their royalty.
Yeah. So I was
So
like,
I think that was premeditated. Like obviously he had been moving stuff in there for a week.
mm-hmm.
So I think he knew what he was going to be doing to her.
Yeah.
When
I
he
just don't
lured
think
her
he
down there.
I
Would
like the
you-
fact how she resurrected just like their mother did.
Mhm.
So that's one trait that she got from her mom, and then he got, of course, the vascular dementia from her.
Would you guys say that he did that to at least partially motivated by the fact that he believes that she kind of destroyed his life?
Hmm.
Maybe. I don't. That's what I was trying to think about, Baller. I was thinking about that. I was like, do you like? I was thinking like, is it possible that he just really blames her for everything at this point because like
I
he
don't think he
really loved
does.
Annabelle. Like he really loved Annabelle though, and she was the one that was kind of like,
One thing I will
"Fuck this
say,
bitch."
I'm a big fan of agency. I think all of you guys are with these characters. You prefer it when they're making
Mhm.
decisions, not just because they were a puppet of someone else. I did like that they threw in that he said, I knew what this was going to cost. Like this, he had a bit of a Walter White moment of like, you know, we can talk all day about all of the influences, all the opportunities, and whether or not he made the right choice, the right time. So it's like, but
Mhm.
he said, like, I figured this was going to hurt a shit ton of people, and I did it anyway. And I
Right.
think that's where the agency comes in of like, it's not just her. It was that Roderick was possibly one of the best representations of man, I guess,
Mhm.
being that you have a choice to make and he made the wrong one. He was tempted and he fucked up.
He was
I
also the
think his
one with
killing of
kids,
her. I
and
think his
she
killing.
didn't have kids.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, she
Mhm.
didn't have kids, but I think he killed her on his own terms so that she wouldn't suffer the same fate of his children. I think
Well,
that's
she
what he
suffered
did.
a
That's why.
bit.
Well,
Yeah,
then he
dude.
poisoned her.
Well, she already tried to murder him.
Yeah, I was
She
gonna
did,
say
but
she
the thing
already
is,
did.
he poisoned her so that she would die. He just did not expect her, I think, to come back to life again
Well,
like her
no.
mom did.
Because I wasn't sure about you when you said that. He used a nightshade on her, which
Mhm.
is they set that up in episode 1. It's a very controversial anesthetic that they
Anesthetic,
got.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
wait, he did use the
Paris.
nightshade on her? Because I thought that was poison because the nightshade just paralyzes you
Yeah, that's
and keeps you
all he wanted
conscious.
to do.
But
But I
she
think
went
he was
further
half
than
expecting
that.
her to have died from what he did to her. Because
Hmm.
he did more than just her eyes, right?
Well, he
Mhm.
did the
No,
whole
he just
mummy
did her
Because he
eyes.
had the nose, he had scrambled
Hold
the
on, I'll pull it up.
brain.
Yeah, he
Well,
would have done the
she-
brain. They showed us the brain tool, so he definitely scrambled her brain
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
he
Yeah.
did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I think the expectation was that she may or may not. But when he says like who's down there, it's like, well, I assume it's Madeline, because what
Mm,
else would it be? Like,
like it was, of course, it was the Madeline the whole time. Like I was like, there's no way it's gonna be
Mhm.
anybody else because, I mean, I thought maybe she's. I know this is gonna be far fetched, but at first, before we're seeing all the die kind of thing, and they're like talking, I was like, maybe Madeline did kind of like create what she wanted to create, like the immortalized like situation. Like I don't know what she was doing, but I thought maybe she's somehow figured out to like become immortal or like she's created something. I don't know, like in this basement situation, and maybe she's trying to bring the kids back to life. I don't know. Like it was just like the weirdest because they kept setting it up with like how she wanted to like, have they kept like kind of like hammering that in. Like,
AI.
yeah,
Yeah.
the AI and how she's
Well, she
trying to be
used Lenore as
immortal.
the experiment. Like all of her social media posts, all of her diary for several months taken in,
Mhm.
creates a
Mhm.
virtual version of her, which glitches on Nevermore.
Yeah.
And that goes back a little bit where they brought in Frankenstein. They were
Mhm.
there's a little bit of creating the monsters
Yeah,
with the new technology.
that was fucked up, man. I'm just because I was just like looking at that scene again when she like busts through the door.
Oh yeah, actually, I kind
I
of
was like, oh
laughed.
my God.
I thought it was too.
I
over the top.
laughed.
It was.
It
too
was
good.
it was funny, but it was fucked up
Did he
too. I
take
was
out
like,
her tongue too? Like it's
I think so.
I think
Which again,
so.
that's in line with the Egyptian mummification stuff.
Oh yeah, it's brains, tongues,
Like
eyes,
one-
heart.
Yeah.
All in
yeah.
canopic jars.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then so she like runs towards him and then like, decides to not decides to, she's
Just
like
strangle him.
Even
dying.
the nightgown she is in has that silhouette of an Egyptian goddess.
Yeah, it
That
does.
has the symbolism to it.
That was
Look at
intense.
his
man.
face.
I know he's like,
It's
oh
like, what
no.
Oops.
Yeah, and then the black dude's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I
I didn't
laughed
sign up for
whenever-
this.
Oh
I
man.
laughed whenever what's her face was like, I'm expecting my box to have poo in it.
Yeah.
Oh right, the wife.
Right.
Yes.
And then of course it goes into the monologue of how it ends and she like what happened with this dude and
Well, I liked
how-
his speech at the end, which is that he has his family and he's the richest man in the world because of it. And it's like that's
Mhm.
a nice little
Mhm.
moral to have at the end. It's a better
Yeah.
ending he got in any of the other shows that actor has been in because he was in Mantis back in the 90s playing a superhero, and that was a weird show.
Well, I've never seen it. And then this
Oh.
girl goes on to kind of inherit like all basically the keys to the kingdom and then kind of
Makes the
gives
Her
it away.
and her and Frederick's wife are the only
Yeah.
two inheritors of the estate.
Mhm. And then she
and
gives
she ends up
away.
saving millions of people from domestic abuse. And
Mhm.
she comes in and creates a rehab.
Mhm. That whole scene too was really powerful. Where like the one that you're talking about, Teresa, with the Frankenstein thing, because when she's like telling him like, I'm gonna get off this drug, because at first he was all like, you can't do that. Like,
Yeah, she's the
you
poster
are the
child for
drug. Yeah.
the drugs, so she got to stay on, which is not what you say to support somebody.
No,
No,
not at all.
I
That's
liked
not part of
her.
the
She's
12 steps.
like, I will suffer for 3 years if it means
Mhm.
that I will never have to live with you. If I don't have to spend a lifetime with you.
She had such little screen time. She did an excellent job of not only the performance, but just the character being like,
Mhm.
listen, I've been dropped on this family. I'm trying. I want to be a part of it. I want to do
Mhm.
what I can, but this whole huge house is empty. No one wants to talk to me. Everyone hates me. Everyone
Mhm.
assumes I'm like a leech. I
I felt so bad for her the
Yeah.
whole time. I was like, this poor girl. Like, imagine living in that fucking giant house alone. Nobody fucking talks to you. I was like, this. And you're sick. Like, she was a sick person that, like, they kind
Mhm.
of, you
She's on
know.
painkillers, has a prosthetic leg. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
she poured her heart out to Bug Lady, and she didn't give a shit.
I
She
know.
didn't-
I was like, see that at that point, I was like, this bitch, I hope she dies the worst too. Like, I didn't like her at all. I was like, you're so useless and you're weird and you talk to your husband like shit. You treat him like crap. Like,
Oh,
I
that
hope you freaking have a bad
mm,
death too.
Part of what
Like,
was so interesting to
Hammerly
me
made
was
me
the fact
so
that
mad.
knowing that those characters were dead, you know, like you're watching
mhm.
it and you're like, you're gonna, and if you noted any of the one that I remembered from the clippings when it went through was the murder suicide for Vic and her girlfriend. I was like, murder suicide?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to make that happen?
Mhm.
I didn't even
actually-
notice that.
I didn't catch that actually. Like the
Yeah.
murder suicide for,
You have to
I-
pause it.
I guess so. See, there's a
'Cause
lot of
this is-
stuff.
yeah.
Like
I
that.
did. I
Yes.
went back.
That's funny. Like there's this, there's rewatchability to this.
I mean,
Yeah,
one of the things that I really appreciate on the foreshadowing, aside from the Netflix thing for Frederick's death, was when he's holding young Frederick in his arms, and then all of a sudden the bottom just drops, and you're like, "Oh my god, they're doing it!"
Oh,
Because
Oh,
the
no.
kid, the innocent Frederick, was what he witnessed dying, as opposed to all the jump scare things that are happening with the other 5 kids.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
that's like the horror of it, right? He's expecting a monster, and then he sees those
Sees his wife and
come in the
kid.
room. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that is what you lost. That is what you could have had.
Yep.
man, everybody was such a good cast. I mean, Mike Flanagan's picked out a good crew, and I think it's interesting that he keeps kind of like doing this, like the same with with the same cast, like every
Kind of like
year.
American
He's just-
Horror Story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like that. Even though I've never watched the American Horror Story, but he does the same thing with all the same crew, except for like
Well-
one or two additions here and there. Because in like Midnight Mass, like the main preacher guy was like the new addition.
Yeah,
Oh,
Father
that was
Pruitt.
later. Yeah, he's not a great actor.
Well-
You're not brought back.
Well, and from my
Well-
experience, a lot of directors, the reason why they'll say the reason they reuse these people is because they already know they can work with them and that they're not divas. They'll show up on time. They'll do the work.
Right.
So they like to rehire the same.
Oh yeah,
people.
there's like an insane
Mhm.
value to the communication aspect. You're so familiar with each other and how each other work, what each other want, and how
Mhm.
to be like, I'll do it like we did before, or do it like that. That's what I mean. Like, and then the fact that they're friends, like that's going to
Yeah.
go a long way. You can call in favors; they'll work harder for you because they're
Yeah.
getting
There's a
paid
shorthand,
and they care
too.
about you.
There's
That's what
a
I mean. Like,
shorthand, which it makes
it doesn't
very
surprise me
effective.
at all that he
Yeah.
remixes all these actors. The thing I think that we'd all be annoyed with it in a nepotism point of view if it were bad.
Yes.
Yes.
Like we would be like, what are you doing?
Agreed.
But
But like freaking Raul Coley in Blind Manor. Oh my god.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my god, Blind Manor. Like I was like crying because of him. And then even in Midnight
I love Blind
Mass,
Manor.
the sheriff.
I
Like
do too, Mom.
Blind Manor was the first. No, it was
House of
Midnight Mass.
Haunted
Midnight
Hill was
Mass.
the first one.
Yeah, Midnight Mass was it for me. Then Blind Manor, then Hill House, then of course this one. And like as soon as I saw Flanagan was doing another one, I was like, I'm in. I don't
Did you
care
see
that I'm a
Midnight
wimp.
Club, Kara?
I got maybe 2 episodes into Midnight Club. I haven't watched the rest of it though.
I wouldn't recommend
stopped after
Midnight
like
Club.
3.
I had a hard time with it. Like,
I did too. I was like, I'm done.
I remember checking the credits on it. I remember thinking to myself, this doesn't fit with the others for a couple of reasons, not just the fact that barely any of the familiar cast are there. I think he's not directing many of the episodes. I'd have to check again, but
did he just produce it?
I think he produced and I think he wrote
some of it. I know that.
It might have been like his outline and someone else's writing. I'd have to check all the credits, but I remember thinking like, uh-oh, this isn't quite a Mike Flanagan thing. Because like
Midnight Club looks like he's only 2-episode director.
Yeah.
I think he wrote them all, though, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken.
And he wrote 7 of the episodes. So it's probably one of his misses.
Yeah, it was a miss. And I think it was just like it's just, to me, it was just so woke and like weird and kind of like really young adult, which was different from what his usual stuff was. Like, I was like, I like your really serious shit. Like, I don't like this weird young adult.
There was stuff I liked in it,
shit.
but yeah, it wasn't as
It just wasn't my vibe. And besides, I like I like ghost and supernatural and like the kind of stuff that he was doing in the other like Bly Manor, vampires. That was really good. I mean, Midnight Club was fucking great. I mean, Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass was just absolutely amazing. Like that, honestly, that was one of my favorite shows that I've watched. It's in my top 10.
Wow. That's interesting. I don't know if I would say top 10 for me, but it was definitely one of my favorites of Flanagan's.
Bly Manor is one of my favorite shows of all time, but Midnight Mass's ending pissed me off too much.
I was gonna say it was good until the last episode.
Yeah,
like a lot of
I can understand that.
Rewatch our coverage of it on this channel, guys.
Yeah, we
did.
Hell
yes.
Yeah, we
nice plug
it.
there. Yeah, we were all there too, ranting.
I don't know if I was.
You weren't here yet.
I wasn't around yet.
Yeah, you weren't here yet. But now you're in. Now you're gonna be involved in all of our reviews. So like that ending was really interesting. I liked it. Overall, I'm gonna give it, I think, I don't know, 6 or 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but I definitely liked it. Yeah, I guess 7. It was fun. 7 out of 10. It definitely was a fun watch. Had a lot of woke elements, a lot of gay stuff.
If it didn't take such a dig at, I think the thing that I thought was like, if they didn't take such a dig at like the Republican politicians that they did whenever they were going through.
They really should have done a couple of Clintons in there.
I know.
It was easy to throw the Clintons in.
Where do you think the meme came from? Epstein didn't, himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they really should have thrown in Hillary. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
You should have thrown her in like 4 times. It would have been funny.
Like, dude, like she's known and everywhere as Killary. Like, I mean, come on. Like, come on, just
and
throw
let's
her
be
in.
honest, most of us believe she did make a deal with the devil at some point.
Yes.
100%. I mean, come on, everybody around her that has any questions ends up, not in the same place as Epstein. So it's just like they're not alive anymore. So it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, this
just
person
annoyed me.
They only put Zuckerberg
they
in there?
quoted Trump there for some, like just to quote Trump. Just was like, really?
Yeah, that's the stuff that really took me out. Like, I was like, oh, like definitely like one, like a point away for the woke stuff. I was like,
I would always opt for not referencing real people at all.
Yes, exactly. And that's how I felt about it, Mahler. I was like, this is a fantasy, or at least a different universe kind of world where we shouldn't believe that any of these people are actually alive or could actually be alive. Like having the like actual political figures in there was really frustrating to me.
It breaks the verisimilitude because you're using too many real life elements to try and convince people that this is like a real life type of story, as opposed to doing the job of selling your actual universe to you, which I think this show did a great job doing until it got to that point.
Agreed.
Now, given I had just said earlier about how, which kind of contradicts what I said earlier about the PlayStation stuff, all the gaming that I saw. So it's just like, it does kind of
find the right balance.
Earlier. Yeah.
I know. I get what you're saying though, because that's to that character, because he was a game developer and he was like,
things are fine.
It's different.
People really people's what breaks the reality. It's things are okay. Everybody else sees a television. That nobody's going to be like, oh man, why does this universe have a television in? No, it's fine. PlayStation is good, or a gaming system of any type, cars, all that's fine. It's when you start doing very specific people that are at least within the core consciousness of humanity, spending the last 100 years or so, that's when you kind of pull things out, especially when you've spent all this time up until that point, not even acknowledging that it's there. Like if he started out from the very beginning, it's like, yes, I purchased Roderick Pharmaceuticals purchased Pfizer. It's like, okay, fine, they're doing this. He's the new head of Pfizer or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you've told me right at the start the rules of what's going on here. They did the other part at the end. It's like they did it badly. Like they show the Monsanto guy, who I can't remember exactly what his political opinion was 120 odd years ago, and then all through the rest of the time of all the people who are questionable and why things didn't happen the way they should have in a just society, etc. I was like, no, you could have had far more fun framing stuff in there, especially if you had Roderick some flashbacks in the 60s and 70s. Have those other characters, those fictional characters, orbit around him in some sort of passive capacity, where it's like, oh, this is the head of a farming community. We're going to make a contract with him so we can farm, farm something that we use in our pharmaceuticals, or we're going to sell him a drug that's going to be used in farming that he can use to make better yields or something of that nature. That would have been funny. It's like, oh, that guy died. Yeah, he died mysteriously. Well, we would take a look at him, and 40 years before he met him, boom, there's Carla Gugino in the background. It's like, oh, we see what's going on. She's a temptress of sorts.
Yeah, she's like this immortal being that's doing fucked up shit throughout time. That's more interesting. I definitely I agree with you guys. That weird Trump stuff was cringe. Okay, so
Kavanaugh. I mean, that was really weird.
Kavanaugh and McConnell.
Oh yeah, McConnell too. Yeah. Oh gee. It just
all the Republicans.
Ridiculous.
Well, I mean, McConnell, come on, everybody can get behind McConnell being.
yeah, but I mean, we're talking
some people theorize he is the Reaper.
He's the Turtle Reaper,
or at least something from the Labyrinth.
Yeah. Oh my god, that is true.
But they're very pedantic, very mundane politicians. Like if they wanted to say like politicians all make deals with the devil, because we all know they all do.
Yes.
And, just because it was only one side. I mean, for crying out loud, they didn't mention Nancy Pelosi for
she looks like the Grim Reaper.
I mean, yeah. I mean, oh yeah, they were all pure as driven snow. It just was really on the head. And she referenced a certain Supreme Court decision that.
Oh yeah, that was so
just
so annoying.
Yeah, again, I don't want to hear death saying stuff like that or the devil. They should be well beyond a Supreme Court decision. That shouldn't be something that they care about.
Like what the fuck? That stuff just really took me out of it. But other than that, it was decent. So yeah, 6 or 7 out of 10. I can't really decide, but definitely has rewatchability value. Baller, what do you give it out of 10?
I don't like giving numbers because everyone gets all angry.
No, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't give numbers.
So it sounds like those sorts of things probably bothered you guys more than it would have me. I still think it's a bad writing decision. Like I wouldn't do it myself because I think it ruins immersion. I think verisimilitude was mentioned just now, and but I thought for what I saw, most things were pretty consistent, pretty solid. Because the thing is, it's funny with all the praise that was mentioned for Midnight Mass. Like, I don't want to understate how much I despised that last episode, and it actually ruined a lot for me in terms of enjoying the whole show.
You hated Midnight Mass last episode?
Yeah, I actually loved everything up until that last episode, where basically like everyone becomes a retard, all the vampires, all the main characters,
everybody.
I lost my shit when when they realized the sun was coming up and the gotta get to shelter, we gotta figure this out. I was like, we could just like dig a hole. If you like all collectively dug a hole, that might actually do it. And then like the last thing one vampire considers is digging a hole. I was like, fuck you.
Oh my god. That was funny.
And how stupid the humans are, right? Their thing is like, we gotta get rid of these vampires for once and for all. We gotta get them. And it's like, well, we'll burn down all the houses except one. And then they try and burn down the last one so they can't sleep in it. Can you guys think of a smarter decision, which would be wait for them to sleep in it and then set
And
it on
then
fire?
burn it
Yeah.
down.
It's like
Yeah.
the easiest decision ever. And I was quite a fan of the sheriff character, Rahul Kohli. Again, I really like
Yeah.
him and all of his appearances.
Hassan.
And the fact that he was so casually just shot and then like goes off to the beach and bleeds out, I was like,
That was terrible.
lame. I was hoping he would
Mhm.
have like a gearing up scene where he pass everybody a gun from his, lockup shelter thing and be like,
Yeah,
we're gonna
that would've
fuck up
been
some
cool.
vampires. But oh well, that's good. What I guess I'm trying to say is that I think I got higher emotional highs from the other 3 shows,
Hmm.
but that Usher is pretty consistent. It has less things that I take great issue with from a writing perspective. So I guess I'm trying to say, like, emotionally, probably like a 7. But in terms of writing quality, like, I'd be willing to go a bit higher than that, but I could be argued down as well. So somewhere around there.
Okay, that makes sense. What about you, Script Doctor? What do you give it overall?
I say it's worth a watch. You're not going to be disappointed. Yes, there are some woke aspects to it and cringe aspects, but it all comes from the characters that are bad people and they die. That's something to take into account. If it was all from the good people, I'd be like, okay, I'm kind of hating this now because you're trying to make a clear, distinctive point pro this, as opposed to, hey, the subtlety is that these evil characters are saying these things and they're facing consequences for their actions and their point of view, which encompasses the things that they've said that maybe most audiences won't agree with. That's kind of in the right headspace of things when it comes to this. It's like these ideologies that are very much detrimental to society and to individuals come with consequences. That's a good thing to put in there. I give props to the show for actually doing that. I will say it does have aspects that waver because of Carla Gugino's character saying her things, which seem beneath a person of her power and her skill set. So that's a bit too much of the of the writer kind of speaking through them to talk to us as opposed to talking about the story. I think the way it amalgamizes Edgar Allan Poe's works into something kind of different and familiar is really impressive, and I think there's something to be said about that. But I would say, yes, this is, of all of the shows that Flanagan has done, I would say this is definitely among the ones worth watching. And you will not necessarily be disappointed by it. You won't be blown away 100%, but you'll definitely enjoy it and not regret watching it. I think that's a fair assessment.
Agreed. What do you give it a number wise, though?
I can't do numbers. I just
You
watch
would
it.
Mueller
I
give a
just
number.
like-
Come on.
Listen, if I say don't watch it, that means it's really, really, really bad.
Mueller gave a number. You need to give a number.
I've never given a number. And
You've
I am
given
sticking
one
by that
now.
rule.
There's a first time for everything.
One
It's
thumb
Flevin.
up, 2 thumbs up.
It's a
3 thumbs
Flevin
up.
out of 11.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
11 out of 11D. Okay. All right. Teresa.
Yeah.
What do you give it out of 10?
I think I give it a 6.
Okay.
Looking at the percentage, a D. If I were grading it as a teacher, because there were so many solid things about it that I've already mentioned, but it's the therefore where they F up at the end, where they brought it into the real world. Script Doctor pointed that out so many times. It was like they just were turning to the camera and they were talking to us. It was like a really bad Christian tract, and I'm a Christian and I can't stand those. Okay. It was just, okay, I know you're starting to preach to me now. It was indulgent in many places where it didn't need to be. They just needed to let the story play out, and the themes were universal enough. They didn't have to go, and by the way, this is why Brett Kavanaugh is evil. Just completely took us out of the story, and I think it was lazy. Broke the fourth wall. So F you all for messing it up. Flanagan, you need to get yourself under control and just tell the story.
Well, okay, there we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for this amazing review. Special thank you to you, Mahler. It's been a minute since I've seen you, so I'm really happy you came by, and I know it's late
No
for you in the
problem.
UK. So
Oh yeah,
thank
that's
you.
fine. Don't worry about it. I'm up late a lot. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was a good time, and you know what? It was a fun show to not only watch but talk about.
It's nice to meet
Definitely.
you, Mahler, by the way.
Yay. Yeah,
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
likewise.
Definitely. And Mahler, we're gonna have to do this again for Stranger Things
Season
final
5.
season. Yeah.
Ooh.
So because you came for part 2 last time, so I would love to have you on again for the
I
last
am
part.
infinitely bitter that Max is still alive. She should be dead.
That's funny.
They
my
better
God.
commit on the last season. They have the excuse that they've got no more, okay? Kill people. Don't
Kill
let them
people.
Oh no, she's okay. She's just in a coma with no soul. Like, she'll be fine.
They might do it next time. I don't know. Ooh, that's gonna
We'll
be
see.
good. That's gonna be good. I think they just said. I actually just read an article that said that they started filming again, or started like I don't know, doing whatever after the break.
Well, they
Mhm.
started
After the long break.
rewriting and
Rewriting again.
they'll be heading back to filming once the actors return to work if the studios decide to, entertain
Yes.
a new negotiation session.
The actors are gonna be 30 by the time this fucking show comes out, and that's just not gonna look right.
That was
but-
predicted after the first season.
I know. That's true. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming by. Mahler, what do you got coming up next? You want to plug your channel?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think what's the newest things that are coming out. We recently did this EFAB yesterday, and if people want to check it out just from how it sounds, I found a list of 100 most referenced people of just the world over history via Wikipedia articles. Just how many times their names come up, and so it was ranked, and then I put like label covers on all of them, and I had 2 teams of 3 people basically take it in turns to try and guess, and they got points according to how close to number 1 they got. So
wow.
it was like Family Feud, but different. And,
That's different.
Huh.
yeah, and, it was quite fun. It was loads of twists and turns and surprises in terms of who you expect to be on the list and who wasn't and stuff. So that's
That
come out
sounds
on
fun.
that's on Moolah. You can check that out if you want. That's the newest
Genghis
thing.
Khan.
He was high up. I think he was
He
number
would be.
4.
Wow. Well, okay, there you go. And Script Doctor, what do you got coming up next?
Just plugging away on my Patreon, getting some reviews in. I did drop a little audio riff of me of how I would kind of try and salvage the MCU by using Captain America, because he's still alive in the past. So yeah, I played around with that, just speculated for it. I might turn it into a video. I don't know yet, but for now, you can go listen to that on Patreon and read some articles and writing tips and tricks to help make you not make all the mistakes that we see in the worst shows that we've ever seen before over there.
There you go. All of the links are in the description for all of the channels and everywhere to follow, including Script Doctor's Patreon. Make sure you check that out. Kara, what do you got coming up next?
Well, as of this moment, I'm planning to be on Toxic Femme tomorrow with you.
Yay! Amazing. That's gonna be that's nice. That's on Midnight's Edge, so check that out.
Yes.
And Kara's got a YouTube channel, and she's just recently monetized. By the way, congratulations!
Thank you.
That's
Hey.
that's a nice feat when it happens. It's really nice that it
It
happened.
was a lot of fun. Played some spooky games today for Sunday Fun Day. We played Demonologist.
Nice.
So it's like Phasmophobia, but you actually have to exercise the demon or the spirit.
Okay,
that's
very
cool.
Halloweeny.
Yes, we've been playing spooky games this month. So I've been playing that with X-Ray and Az and Garrett.
Cool.
And it's been
Tell
a lot
him
of
man buns
fun.
are evil. The guy that was in this show had a man bun, and he was the most evil one, and he abused his
Yes.
wife.
Yes.
Okay.
I will make sure to say that, and next time I talk to Dan Vask, I'll make sure he knows too.
Definitely, please. We need to get rid of this man bun situation. Teresa, last but certainly not least, you got to watch Frailty. It's got a rose garden, and it's fucked up. Teresa, what do you got coming up next?
Well, I'm continuing on with Pub Crawl, my interview show this Tuesday night with 19K Fox.
Ooh.
So, yeah, he's going to be on, and many other people. That's usually on once a week. I also have reviews, rantings, and ravings now and then. I've got some saved up that if I find the time, I'll go ahead and go live with those. And I have a lot of Halloween stuff. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing to Miss Martin Uses, I am mostly monetized and about ready to get fully monetized if I could get about 100 more subs. So thank
Woo,
you, everybody.
get it done. Everybody go to Teresa's channel and hit that subscribe button. It's in the description. Make sure you do that. And as for me, thank you, first of all, Darren, for gifting 5 memberships to the chat, and Force of Light, who will be on Toxic Femme tomorrow as well, is sent a hello for $4.99. So thank you for that, Michelle. And as for me, you can find me obviously on Toxic Femme tomorrow, but right after the show, right after this ends, I'm going over to Simpcast. Whoa. That was funny. I'm going over to Simpcast, which is on Anna, that's Star Wars Girls channel. I've dropped the link in the chat. So please make sure you go there. Chrissy had a family emergency, so we're doing Simpcast on Anna's channel tonight. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Special thanks to those of you who super chatted, became a member, gifted memberships, all that good stuff. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.